Members are reminded to refrain from engaging in personalities towards the President. Under the Speaker's announced policy of January 3rd, 2025, the Chair recognizes the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Schweikert, for 30 minutes.
And forgive me, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, as we get ourselves organized here. Our friends on the other side ended a little faster than we expected. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to do something a little dangerous. Have you ever heard the saying, you should never go to bed mad? I think there should be another rule. You probably shouldn't come behind these microphones cranky. But let's have at it. Mr. Speaker, I've been walking through numbers after numbers after numbers. And for many of us, for a decade now, I come behind this microphone trying to walk through the scale of our borrowing, the scale of what's going on, the fact that most of it is driven by our demographics, giving a little bit of an excuse saying that makes it so it's not Democrat or Republican, it's just math. And then at home, I'm blessed, I represent the Scottsdale, Phoenix area. I'm trying to figure out what's going on in our brothers and sisters on the left's head. So, okay, I get it, they're cranky. And as a former senator that I sat next to from my state was sharing with me, one of the great frustrations of Democrats in my area is, well, for 15 years, they raised money, they ran on marriage equality. Well, that's pretty much settled. They ran on the right to terminate pregnancies. Well, now that's in my state constitution. So what do they run on now? Well, they run on apparently rage. So I want to get this out of my head before I start to walk through some of the math. You have a country that's borrowing about $6 billion a day, about $70,000 a second. In a decade, there's data saying 30% of our tax receipts will go just to pay interest. The wheels are coming off. And instead, the brain trust of some of these folks, okay, I accept that the tonal quality of some of the folks out of the White House isn't warm and cuddly. But do you go around neighborhoods, offices, and stick Nazi signs on their cars? So my wife drives a Tesla. We bought it a couple years ago. It's funny, at that time, she got teased a bit. Oh, now you're driving an electric car. I thought you guys were like really conservative. Is this where your heads are at? Sticking Nazi things on people's windshields? And there's no way they knew it was my wife's car. She just has a little basis sticker, which is a charter school my kids go to. But this is really the quality of conversation, discourse, of communication that's going on with the left-wing activists in my community. It's not, hey, David, we're concerned about Medicaid. Here's ideas how you can deal with the debt and deficit so we have the resources. No, it's because it's this really highbrow intellectual discussion with our brothers and sisters on the other side. Stick Nazi things on people's cars. This is what you've come down to? This is what's going on? Come on, people. Look, I almost always start with this chart. Do you see what's in blue? It's defense and non-defense discretionary. We expect it to be 25% of spending. Last year, for every dollar this country took in tax collections, we spent $1.39. But everything we vote on is 26% of the budget. Anyone see a math problem? So we're going to get behind the microphones and have honest discussions of how we're going to save the country. If it's about programs the left cares about, help us figure out how to pay for it. Yet, when you actually look at some of the spending and debt, I think I have the chart. We actually did some of the math. So the crazy thing, one of my Democrat neighbors who makes a lot of money, he has a beautiful home. David, is it true that the president's even talking about keeping the old, going back to the 2017 tax rate for high income earners? Well, apparently the president said something like that on Friday. Well, David, do you think that's fair? Now, this is a guy I know is a Democrat because he has Democrat signs even of my opponents in his front yard. We did the basic math. If you actually were saying, let's just go back to the tax rate for the top earners, back to the 2017, it's $32.7 billion over 10 years. Okay, we can all divide that by 10, so let's call it $3.2 billion a year. We borrow $6 billion a day. If that's $3.2 billion, you functionally bought yourself 12 and a half, 13 hours worth of borrowing for the entire year. And there's the mental breakdown, is the left runs around and says, raise taxes. Okay. We're going to borrow 7.3% of GDP is my latest number. Some of the other economists are around 7.2% of GDP. Either way, every tax, you can go to the Manhattan Institute and read the articles, and it's from Democrat literature, that if you take every tax they have that they've scored, raise tax on capital gains, raise tax on income, raise tax on businesses, raise tax here. And I'm sorry for talking so fast. Believe it or not, would you leave? I live on coffee, and I need to apparently deal with my issue. 12-step group for coffee. But the point I'm going to, read the article. All those taxes, when you do the economic judgment, is about 1.5% of GDP. But this place lies. Excuse me. We make up math because it's really hard to tell people the truth. Almost every cut we talk about as Republicans is about 1% or so of GDP. And I'm enraged right now because I'm hearing down the hallway, the Senate, they're talking about doing their reconciliation budget and setting a floor saying, we're not going to allow a Senate to pass a budget, cuts of less than $3 billion. Huh? I'm upset that ours is so anemic at like $1.5 trillion, but if they do $3 billion, it's not even it's functioning a half a day of borrowing. This is, yay, go team. Look, at some point the math is the reality. Why is it so hard to tell the truth? And one of the other points I sort of want to make, and I stole this graphic from another group, thank you. Baseline law, not baseline policy, the law, and I'll explain that later. Over the next 10 years, we're going to spend $86 trillion. We're talking about, at best, on the House budget resolution, cutting $2 trillion over those 10 years. That's 2.3%. Oh, God, dear heaven, you're butchering government. 2.3%. You're telling me that if we didn't grind through government, look at our programs, look at all the reports that GAO and others give us of the waste and fraud and just programs that haven't been authorized in decades. You couldn't find 2.3%, but it's easier to go stick this sort of crap on my wife's windshield than it is to do the intellectual work of saying, hey, we think we have more elegant, ideas on how to reform spending in government and modernize it and make it better, faster, cheaper for the American people. No, we'd rather burn things down. Are we all proud of ourselves? The fact of the matter is 86 trillion spending over the next 10 years. And at best, our budget reconciliation is 2.3% of that spending. And this is the one I get complaints from everyone, so please understand, I'm trying to offend everyone with facts and math. If you do all this, because we have a number of senators over there, don't cut any spending. And they're Republicans. When you hear someone say, we should do baseline policy, not the law, what they're basically saying is they don't want to have to deal with telling the truth of the math. So let's take a look here. We finished this fiscal year $37.2 trillion in debt as a country. Baseline, we had $22 trillion of additional borrowing over the next 10 years. If we were to do the tax extensions, which we really need to protect the middle class and others by not raising their taxes, but if we were to do it without any offsets, and then you add in the interest, that's about another $6.8 trillion of borrowing. And then if we were to take care of the president's request, that's another $8 trillion. Functionally saying we will borrow more in this 10-year period than we did in the previous 240 years. 240 years of borrowing on the day we were elected, and we're going to double it. Are we proud of ourselves? This is how we're going to save the republic? Is we're going to continue to just bury it in debt because it's hard to tell people the truth about the math? A caveat on this board. We don't have a subscription to Moody's Analytics. It's expensive. Congressional Research Service doesn't have an, but we found 4 or 5 articles talking about Moody's saying their model says in 2035, so 9 budget years from now, 10 years from now, 30% of all U.S. tax receipts. So you pay $1 in taxes, 30 cents of it just paid interest. Think about that. 30% in 10 years. This year, it's 18%. Dear heaven, there's a model out there that actually shows that if interest rates were to go up 1% in that 9 budget years, it's like 45% of all U.S. tax receipts go just to interest. We're playing a very dangerous game here. But at least we can stick things on Teslas and protest and be angry because, God forbid, we talk about actual math. In 7.5, 8 years from now, Social Security Trust Fund is empty. The law says you cut benefits. That's a 21% cut. We double senior poverty in America. How many people do you see coming behind these microphones willing to have a conversation on how we're going to save it? First year, my math, actually the Joint Economic Economist math, first year, so if the trust fund is gone in 2033 and 2034, it's over $600 billion just to make up that shortfall. That makes what we're talking about here in the budget resolutions tiny. Those are only like $200 billion a year. We're talking $600 billion a year, and it grows just to cover the Social Security Trust Fund being gone. That's 7.5, 8 years from now. But are we going to talk about that? No, because they're going to run television ads beating the crap out of us because we tried to figure out a way to save it. The perversity of this place. They don't give a damn about someone's future, their poverty. It's about winning the next election and raising money on it. And we got to tell the truth also, what's going on in our country. You all saw the updates from the Census Bureau. basically saying after next year, if you zero out immigration, our number of prime age workers starts to fall. Matter of fact, there's a data set. Now, we've been using 8 years from now because that was the official Census Bureau number. There's a couple demographers out there that wrote articles a week ago saying we may have already hit more deaths than births in America. I need you to process what that means. You have a system where Social Security, the financing of Medicare, the financing of so many of our pensions relies on a growth of the working population, particularly those prime age workers. If we're now entering a time of a shortage of young people, 2027, not that long from now, we actually go negative of prime age workers. Maybe our committee should maybe invite in a demographer and talk about saying, is this Republican or Democrat? Starting in 1990, we started to roll over in the number of children we had. Now we're paying the price for it. Now make these long-run programs, which are pay-as-you-go math, make them work. This should be scaring the hell out of this place. Oh no, David, we can't tell our voters that. It's harder to raise money when you tell them the truth of how hard the future is. It is fixable. I've done presentation after presentation of adoption of technology, redesigning some of the programs where you don't cut anything, but you do really hard stuff. And the problem is our hallways are crowded with people here. It's all about the money. Understand, Congress is really about one thing, money. And the inefficiencies, the design failures for these bureaucracies, for the business models that make their living off government, that's their profit. They actually like the inefficiencies. We came and showed some charts, I think a week or two ago, just our calculations that there could be $25 billion a year in duplicative MRI, X-rays, ultrasound scans in Medicare. Does a duplicative scan, when it's not necessary, make someone healthier? Or you could actually do something crazy, take the scan, attach it to one of these things, your little supercomputer in your pocket, and carry it around with you, and there it is. Did that cut anyone's service? But $25 billion this year times 10, it's $250 billion with one little reform. But the perversity of this place, when I do that piece of legislation, I'll get attacked saying, you're trying to cut benefits. No, I'm trying to save the programs. But I guess it would cause the difficulty of math and having to design and put something on paper and getting some of the economists to work through it. But that's our job. We are the board of directors of the biggest economy in the world, the biggest entity in the world. We're going to spend over $7 trillion this year. Of course, we're only going to take in $2 trillion in taxes, meaning we may borrow about 2.1, 2.3 trillion this year to keep the wheels on. The scale of this should be scaring the hell out of people. And look, the demographic curve, when we start to think right now in 2024, we got 2.9 people working for every person receiving their benefits. A decade from now, that's starting to fall to 2.7, 2.6, and then it really starts to crash. And when we start to look at the 30-year window, we're down to about 2.4. Now, that may not mean much to you, but trying to make these numbers work, it can be done. It's just hard. And so you're going to hear people come behind these microphones, give these beautiful speeches of how they want to save the republic, how we care about the future, how we care about our kids, how we care about your retirement, and then we'll do nothing that's actually hard. It's just immoral. It's just absolutely immoral. And then I try over and over just to bring when I'm doing these, I'm trying to do a better job of bringing examples of where we can save. Okay, I'm going to admit Doge and those, I'm fascinated with the data mining and those things. I know the quality of the gentleness or gentility of the communications. Yeah, they have a hard, rough edge. And the fact of the matter is a lot of the craziness actually wasn't coming from them. It was coming from people in the bureaucracy trying to throw out stuff to make it more difficult and just really anger people. And then the government unions, have to try to light things on fire. So, okay, disharmony. We have 5 major databases in the federal government. Is it Republican or Democrat to just build a world where those databases would talk to each other? If there's potential of $100 billion a year in misallocations and fraud and these things, and you could fix it by just having the databases talk to each other and know this is a fraudster. This person isn't with us anymore. They've gone on to their reward, but somehow they're over here asking for an SBA loan. Is that Republican or Democrat? It's just technology. Yet you have protesters out there saying, you can't make the databases allow them to talk to each other. Have we lost our minds? And I want to do this just as an example because this one just burns me. Between Christmas and New Year's, I went up and spent 3 or 4 days up in the Navajo Nation. I took my little 9-year-old daughter. Yes, I have a 9-year-old and a 2.5-year-old. That's the definition of pathologically optimistic when you're 63 and have a 2.5-year-old. It's both funny and true. Guess what? We've spent $42.5 billion for broadband equity. Remember, we always like to add that word, equity, except no one has gotten broadband. So the tribal president of the Navajo Nation and a number of the communities called chapter houses basically said, hey, screw this. I'm not willing to wait another 20 years. You know what they did? Something just crazy? Instead of being patient and waiting for us to spend billions of more dollars and run a piece of wire, they went out and stuck a satellite dish, and 48 hours later, for several $100s, they had broadband for the whole neighborhood, for the whole what we call chapter house. Is that Republican or Democrat? It's just the adoption of technology, except the lobbyists who run around here wanting billions of subsidies for something they're never going to connect get really upset every time I do this board. Do we care? Does this place care enough to do the hard things? To actually do the math, the creativity. Last week I came here with the MedPAC report. It's like this. I have no idea how many members have actually bothered to read it, but in there's a whole section, and yes, I understand there's some anomalies, but they're rounding errors compared to this guy, saying $84 billion was spent last year in the differential between Medicare Part D and Medicare Part A. So that's Medicare fee-for-service, Medicare Advantage. And it was supposed to be at 95%, if anyone wants to go back and do their history in 2005, when they started Medicare Advantage. Well, if you do that basic math, that's $104 billion a year. Okay. How about if Republicans and Democrats got together and say, we're going to fix this. We're going to get the capitation program to actually work the way it's supposed to. We're going to have the providers of services actually make money because they help our brothers and sisters who are in their retirement years earning their health care benefits, helping them be healthier. They get rewarded by having their population be healthier, not by running around scoring them as sicker. Yay! Everyone wins. What would happen if that's several $100 billion over a decade? That's not a cut. It's actually lining up incentives. Instead, it's just easier to run around and scream stories. They're going to cut things. Let's pay people. So I have hospitals and other groups paying people to fly out here, tell stories, and they have no idea what they're talking about. Because we make crap up, once again, because everything's about the money. And the last board, and the one that always seems to upset people because they don't want to know the truth. Congressional Budget Office, and this one's a year out of date. The numbers are actually apparently worse, but we haven't had the update yet. Congressional Budget Office estimates that over the next 30 years, our country borrows $124 trillion. Now, I got to tell you, this number, when we get our updates, is going to be much worse. But if you look at their data, they actually have discretionary, the part we vote on, growing slower than tax receipts. So that has a $9 trillion positive over the 30 years. But Medicare is $87.2 trillion in the hole. Social Security is $36.8 trillion in the hole over those 30 years. Turns out, even the next decade, almost 100% of the U.S. sovereign debt growth is interest and Medicare. Nothing we can do about interest. I mean, we can do some things to incentivize going out in the curve so we're not as fragile, to communicate to the bond markets, because the bond markets are basically about to run this country, because if you have to sell $6 billion a day, $60,000, $70,000 every second, maybe you need to pay attention to your bankers who you're having to sell your debt to. But to communicate to those debt markets, we're serious, we're looking at ways to use technology, better models, when obesity is the single biggest expense in our society. Yeah, we're not supposed to say that. Shh. Mr. Speaker, please don't tell anyone. Last year, the Joint Economic Economists calculated $9.1 trillion of additional healthcare spending. Is it moral? With what we do in food policy, nutrition support, how we deliver healthcare, maybe the concept of helping our brothers and sisters live healthier when 31% of Medicare spending is diabetes. 33% of all healthcare overall is just diabetes. Is that Republican or Democrat? It's just trying to get your policy alignment to the fact we're buried in debt. We're getting older as a society. I think in a decade, 23% of our population is 65 and up. We now know that we're having this remarkable shortage of young people. We're already potentially on the cusp of having more deaths than births in our country. In a couple of weeks, we're trying to roll out a STEM-based, talent-based immigration bill, because for the economy to grow and stabilize, we don't have a choice. And people just, oh, David, you're not allowed to talk about immigration. People won't understand it. Will they understand the economic survival of you still getting your benefits when you're a senior? We can make this work. But, Mr. Speaker, we're now starting to run into articles that are talking about we're putting the extraordinary privilege. And what are the two extraordinary privileges America has? Our currency. The world borrows in our currency, meaning the fact of the matter is when we sell debt, there's a demand to hold U.S. dollar denominated. And then the second thing is people want to live here. They want to invest here. They want to be educated here. They want to be an entrepreneur here. And now we're running into multiple articles saying some of the things we're doing, particularly our debt stack, we're putting our extraordinary privilege as a country at risk. Doesn't have to be this way, Mr. Speaker. But a couple of the smart people, a couple of our economists say, you got 3 or 4 more years. And at that point, the debt gets so hard to manage. And just what the Federal Reserve said last week, taking us from a 2.1 GDP down to a 1.7, just that movement is almost $200 billion a year in tax collections. Just that GDP reduction the Federal Reserve calculated for the next 3 years. Now, take that out to 10. That's more money. That's more money than everything in our budget reconciliation. The lack of understanding of the inner dynamics of our debt, the interest, these dollars, terrifies me, because there is a path. There is a path for this to work, Mr. Speaker, but we're living on a razor's edge because we're not doing the hard work. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back.